Broadcasting live in downtown Oakland.
I'm David Hollander, and you're listening to Protect Your Assets. Over the last 20 years, I've met many people dissatisfied with the lack of value and personal attention their financial advisor provides them. At Liberty Group, we personalize every aspect of our clients' retirement and financial plan with estate law, wealth management, and tax planning all under one roof. Call today to make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Of action here in Season 4 of Real Racers Virtual Club have seen the two same winners just mirrored. Race 1 of Interlagos saw Max Butler take the win. Race 2 was Will Salisbury. Lime Rock Race 1, Will Salisbury. Lime Rock Race 2, Max Butler. Who's going to go to victory lane in both of our races here tonight as we go up north to the virtual Watkins Glen International for the second to last round of the season? We welcome you into the Racecraft and RaceSpotTV broadcast booth, with my partner next to me, Taylor Burris, and Hugo Louise behind the scenes. My name is Joshua Lee, and Taylor, we are entering now into the late portion of this season, which is a short one at that, with only 2 rounds to go and only about 4 rounds in the rearview mirror now. We just have Road Atlanta coming up in 1 week's time, and Watkins Glen here tonight, which is 2 completely different circuits. And tonight, we've always seen amazing action from Watkins Glen, especially in these lower powered open wheeled machines like the IRO4s. I'm expecting some good racing tonight. I don't know about you.
Well, not only that, but here tonight we're utilizing Watkins Glen, the classic circuit. So this is going to be the fastest road course that we have that these drivers will have to utilize all season long because of just how much slipstream is going to come into play, how much they're going to be on the throttle. Really, they're going to be maybe only on the brakes, maybe once, maybe twice, going into turn 1, and then maybe having to break it down heading into those final couple of corners. But as we take a look at the standings right now, we already touched on it. Will Salisbury just absolutely having a dominant season so far. Him and Max Butler lead the way in the championship with only 2 races left to go.
4 total wins for your current points leader, 2 total wins on the season for Max Butler sitting in second place. Escajeda and Hudson, don't count them out yet. They are both sitting tied for third at 104 points. And then you go a little bit further down, Joseph Butler, Nicholas Leo tied for that 5th spot, but still a tight battle at the top with 4 points paying rounds to go. Yes, the ball is in Will Salisbury's court, so to speak, but Max Butler is still there, ready to pick up the pieces if anything happens to Will Salisbury in front. And like I mentioned, we can't count out Matthew Escajeda. The Season 2 champion is still in the hunt for this championship, but with no Anders Kron, we won't see a back-to-back champion. We still have not seen that in Real Racers Virtual Club competition just yet. We'll see if we see that in the next season of action, but here this season it is all but confirmed we're going to have somewhat of a new champion. The only difference is, will we see Matthew Escajeda win it for a second time, or will we see Will Salisbury or Max Butler win their first career championship in Real Racers Virtual Club competition? Less than 8 minutes left to go here in qualifying. First laps are starting to go in from each of our drivers, and as they go into turn number 1, we take a look on board with Zach Hudson in the 2, right into that hard 90-degree right-hander of turn number 1. Challenging in stock cars, Taylor, challenging in GT cars, and equally as challenging in these open wheel cars.
Really is there, Josh. I mean, these cars are a lot lighter, but that means you have to try to carry more speed, more momentum, which then opens the door for more mistakes to cause when trying to climb up this way. As we riding on board with Zach Hudson, see here, we're just going straight on through, not going to worry about the bus stop chicane, and then just send it on into the carousel, lift it up a little bit right through here, and then instead of heading into the boot, we're going to continue turning to that right and then working our way down the short chute before we head to the final couple of corners here at Watkins Glen, where this is the second time they'll hit the brakes pretty much throughout this entire race. And if they dive it in through these final few corners, let the throttle breathe a little bit. Careful right there. And then unfortunately, he hit the curbing a little too much, and unfortunately, that qualifying lap will not count. But Max Butler currently at the top of the leaderboard with a 109.275.
And we crowned our champion here last season. It was Anders Krohn taking the championship, but two of the most exciting races that we had seen all season long came right here at Watkins Glen. And because of that back straightaway, we skip out that bus stop, and it is just a massive run down into the carousel, hard braking zone, and we're going to be seeing a lot of passing opportunities be made there. And one of the winners this season, 4 total wins on the season for Will Salisbury. We're on board with him now as he enters into the carousel. Currently second on the speed charts, albeit by about 1/10 of a second through the final couple of corners. Turns 6 and 7 on this layout. We'll see if he is able to improve as he goes down to third, as up to second goes Joe Butler by only 5/1000 of a second versus his brother Matthew Escajeda to third. Where's Will Salisbury going to go as he drops down to fourth across the start finish line? It is going to be not enough to move up. Yes, it will be. Third place, 109.298, but not enough to break into that Butler stronghold of the top 2.
0.005 of a second separate your top 2. 0.18 of a second separate second to third. I mean, this is just absolutely crazy right here between that. 0.2 separate your top 3.
Garrett Starr, new name to Real Racers Virtual Club, hops up into P7 on his first qualifying effort. That'll move Nicholas Leo down to the 8th spot, and you're on board with Zach Hudson. Let's see if the second opportunity for him on the track is going to be the one that really counts, because of course, spinning out, coming off of turn number 6, the penultimate corner here at Watkins Glen on this layout, as we have a swap at the top of the leaderboard. Joe Butler goes up to first in the number 4 machine. Max Butler in the 1 down into second place. But now let's see if Zach Hudson is able to use what he learned on that first lap, just straddling that curb a little bit too much and spinning off into the guardrail. If he can use that to his advantage here to lay down a good lap to get up to the top of the board with less than 5 minutes left, he's only really going to have this one opportunity and then maybe the one lap after it that is going to be counting on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's going to be the definite scenario for him as he comes up over the curve. Doesn't spin out this time. Does a great job. Will he have enough momentum to carry through the final corner? The answer is going to be yes, but he clips the wall right there. I don't know if that'll count for an incident point, but we'll have to see as he comes across the line. And a 109.486. I don't think that tap will count by the looks of it.
No, he's going to have to put in one more. Just that another quirk of running in the sim. Of course, all these drivers race in the real life as well, whether it's full-time, whether it's as a weekend warrior. But for Zach Hudson, he's really seeing that sim part of this series come into play, where it's a part of the iRacing rules, 0x, 1x, 2x, 4x, whatever it may be. If you earn any kind of incident point on the racetrack, you will have your time disallowed in qualifying. Just saw that from Zach Hudson, and a 109.4 would have put him into the top 5, would have put him exactly 5th, beating out on Nicholas Leo in the 69, currently in that spot, who we're on board with now for that 5th position. But here comes Nicholas Leo over and into the pits, and with 3 minutes left in qualifying, looks like the only driver really left to put in a flying lap will be Zach Hudson. Maybe Garrett Starr will try and put in one more. Nope, he's in the pit. So Zach Hudson coming across the line. Is he going to get one more lap in? It is a 109.7, and that one will count towards the leaderboard. He goes up into P7. Rick Sheldon moves down to 8th, and Garrett Starr in his first career start is going to move down into P number 9. So that looks to be all the drivers over and done for qualifying, getting their flying laps in, 4 allowed laps, and every driver taking all 4 that they were allowed, except for Andrew Sauter, who only took 3 of his allocated qualifying laps here in qualifying for Watkins Glen. So Taylor, 2 races on the horizon. Of course, we'll have the signature top 5 invert going into race number 2, but we've seen time and time again this first race really is important, and it's going to be important not only to see who's going to start on the pole in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th for race number 2, but it's the first opportunity of the night to really lock in those good points that Will Salisbury and Max Butler are especially looking for in their championship fight.
Certainly is, as we see Zach Hudson not going to be able to improve on his lap time after spinning out, but it's so critical to try to have a good run in this first race. So starting up towards the front, like Joe Butler, Max Butler, and Will Salisbury, is going to be very beneficial for them. But also, you also have to throw in the factors that drivers such as Garrett Starr, Rick Sheldon, or Zach Hudson, they could even work their way up through the field here before it's all done.
And with about 90 seconds left, we'll take this opportunity to thank all the sponsors that help to put on each and every event of Real Racers Virtual Club live here on RaceSpotTV. And that starts with Liberty Group. At Liberty Group LLC, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always wanted. Our team of professionals can help you create a well thought out strategy using a variety of investments and insurance products and services to help you address your financial needs and concerns. And we'll thank all the sponsors for Real Racers Virtual Club coming up in the break between our two races tonight. But it's time to take a look at that starting grid as we get ready to go racing tonight in the penultimate round of the season from virtual Watkins Glen. Joe Butler starts on pole at a 109.2. Max Butler is going to start to his outside in second place. Will Salisbury, Matthew Escajeda going to share that second row with Nicholas Leo and Andrew Sauter. Rounding out your top six and rounding out your field, it'll be Zach Hudson, Rick Sheldon, and Garrett Starr. The entire field in qualifying separated by less than 0.6 of a second. That is close, Taylor, and we've seen close times before. We saw them at Lime Rock. We even saw them a couple of weeks before at Brands Hatch as well. Just very close times on the leaderboard, but it's going to be difficult for these drivers to really stay close together. These cars and the way they draft are different than really any other lower powered open wheel car that we have on the service. So it's going to be a challenge for all these drivers to keep up and kind of run as a pack and use everyone's equal speed to everyone's advantage.
But that's what just makes this style of racing so unique and so impressive to watch these up-and-coming stars. I mean, these Formula 4 cars that we are watching here are very, very aero-dependent when it comes to utilizing the draft. We've seen it in the real world. We see it here in the virtual world as well, that these cars can be able to utilize the slipstream to get around components. And we will even see drivers taking it one time, probably 3 and maybe even 4 wide down this back straightaway that we see here as we see the iRacing Porsche safety car lead the field through the up the hill of the S's, another danger zone where if 1 or 2 cars get together, it could end up blocking the track. So they have to be very careful on the opening stages of this race to work their way up through the S's carefully. But one thing to keep in mind as well for these drivers is the importance of knowing when to make the correct passes going into this race. Drivers are going to try to be aggressive in the early stages, try to settle in, but they also have to realize it's a 14-lap race. This race will go by very quickly, so picking and choosing when the time to attack, when the time to back off will be critical in this race.
As the field works their way through the carousel so far this season, Will Salisbury, Joe Butler, Nikita Lastichkin, Max Butler have been your 4 unique winners on this season. And 3 of those 4 names are going to start in the top 3 spots here tonight. And the 4th name, Nikita Lastichkin, is not starting this race. So we can tell who are the consistent drivers and who are the fast drivers in this series. How is that going to go here tonight, as we will see who will sit on the podium for race number 1, who will sit on the podium for race number 2, and I think more importantly, how is this championship going to be set up for the final round of action in 1 week's time. But as the iRacing pace car takes us through the final corner and into the pit lane, we get ready to go racing. It's virtual Watkins Glen, it's Real Racers Virtual Club, and we are underway for race number 1 tonight. It's a great start from the 4 of Joe Butler on the inside, but here comes his brother Max trying to fight back into turn number 1. Who's trying to go up the middle? Will Salisbury's already getting very, very aggressive from second place. He tried to go up the middle, but was able to use that inside line to his advantage. Take second, now trying to use the inside line advantage to take first. He'll stay side by side through the S's as they go up the hill. Joe Butler versus Will Salisbury to the back straightaway for the very first time tonight, and they're still side by side. Where's Max Butler going to go? Using a bit of that slipstream, a bit of that draft to try and find a line to go with. A little bit of an edge to Max Butler, Joe Butler on the outside. Can Will Salisbury power around on the inside line? They're 3 wide for third, as here comes Matthew Escajeda to join the party as Will Salisbury takes the lead as they come off turn 5.
Side by side still for the race lead as they work down the short chute heading into the final few corners here on the opening stages, and it is still going to be Salisbury and Butler. Butler sends it in a little bit too deep right there, but that gives him the opportunity. He will fall back to second and out of the final corner. Here comes Salisbury once again. He will lead lap number 1 after fighting it off of Butler.
And take a look at this battle, still for third, as side by side goes Andrew Sauter, Max Butler, and Matthew Escajeda. How about the dive in the contact? Andrew Sauter gets tagged, and off and into the tire barrier he goes. That was a big dive to the inside from Matthew Escajeda, and I believe it was a light contact with Max Butler that just sent Andrew Sauter over and into the tire barrier. A quick incident, a small tap in these open wheel cars, Taylor, and that's all it takes to send somebody off and into the gravel. But take a look at this battle, a big defensive move to the bottom for Joe Butler, the 4 trying to hold on.
He is trying to hold on indeed as they go 3 wide through the carousel. Escajeda tries to move on up to second, going the long way around as they come out, as Butler has some issues, trouble behind them. Hudson also involved, and throw in Sheldon as 3 cars involved in this incident.
They got tangled up at the bottom of the carousel, and around they went in turn number 5. You can see 4 drivers still well within a line here, as Will Salisbury trying to check out now. A 1.3 second gap at the front as we continue race number 1. Let's see first what happened with Andrew Sauter, and there's that contact with Max Butler, and I believe just looked like they met in the middle of the line there, Taylor. Nothing really either of them could have done. Here's a replay of what happened in the carousel, and through that corner, just like a bit of contact from Rick Sheldon onto Joe Butler, and nothing any of them really could have done. They all just got tangled together.
They certainly did, and it cost valuable time for Butler. Hudson, of course, Sauter's still on pit road trying to get that toe fixed for him and be able to get back out on the racetrack. But how about Salisbury? He has checked out to a 1.2 second lead over the other Butler brother as they work their way through the carousel. Escajeda sits in that 3rd spot, and with this drafting, these drivers here not really wanting to work together to try to close the gap, because each time they keep battling like this just opens the door up even more for Salisbury to lay that race even more so here.
Completing lap 3 this time by 11 to go at the start-finish line. Will Salisbury has tried to get further away, but that 4-car draft line now that has pretty much gained speed from 2nd on down to 5th is keeping him reeled in. He's not getting too far away. That gap's kind of fluctuating from about 1.3 seconds up to about 1.5 every couple of moments, but for the most part, keeping Will Salisbury in check, keeping him honest at the front of this field. And it looks like from the middle of the pack, Nicholas Leo looking to make a move on Matthew Escajeda. When and where is he going to make that move? If he is looking to do it, he stays tucked in, and it doesn't look like he's going to go for a move into the carousel this time. Escajeda made a slight look, trying to go to the inside of Max Butler. Escajeda currently sitting on the edge of the podium, however, and just staying in this draft line now. But Will Salisbury at the front. This 4-car draft line, Taylor, is going to need to gain a lot more speed if they want to catch up to the 7 at the front, because it's looking like a typical Will Salisbury win. He dominated both races at Laguna Seca to grab that win, and he's dominating. He dominated at Interlagos, dominated at Lime Rock. He's doing the exact same thing here in race 1.
As they come across the line this time by, they have been able to pick up the pace just a little bit right now. As a matter of fact, looking at the times, they were about 0.3 faster than Will Salisbury last time around. Max Butler set a 109.04 compared to the 109.33 of Will Salisbury. So Salisbury starting to feel the pressure now a little bit now as they're about to drop it down to under a second by the time they get out of the S's.
Through the back straightaway, and that gap is closing on in as it looks like Max Butler has really gotten into that draft of Will Salisbury as Escajeda and Leo continue to fight. Of course, Matthew Escajeda, the Season 2 champion of Real Racers Virtual Club. Nicholas Leo still has yet to find himself at the top of the podium, but the video producer for a marketing agency in motorsports, so he knows his way around a real-life racetrack, around the camera, and around the virtual racetrack as he fights from P4 and keeping Matthew Escaleta just right in front of him. If he wants to pounce, he can, but now as they come across the line with 9 to go, just saving a little bit of that energy. 7/10 now, separating your two drivers at the front of this field. This could become a really interesting battle here, Taylor, because we know that Max Butler is starting to reel him in. He's starting to catch him, but then it becomes the challenge of passing him. How wide is Will Salisbury willing to make that car to be able to hold on to this race lead and get his 5th win of the season?
Well, for someone who's already picked up 4 wins this season, I'm pretty sure he's going to make that car very wide down these straightaways here at Watkins Glen. He's going to want to hold on and try to see if he can maybe, just maybe, see if he can clinch the championship here tonight, or at least going into the final round at Rotoland with a very high possibility of him winning the championship.
Side-by-side moment there between Escaleta and Leo. It looked like Escaleta just went a little bit too wide off the exit of the carousel, and Nicholas Leo is looking ready to pounce from that 4th spot. On board with the current number 69, sitting at the edge of the top 5, and almost comes into contact with that outside wall as well. Very, very close to it. As they'll enter back into turn number 1. He's close, just not looking to make that move just yet, as Will Salisbury continues to lead the way. Max Butler, Matthew Escaleta, Nicholas Leo, and Garrett Starr in his first career Real Racers Virtual Club entry sits at the edge of the top 5. A great effort for the number 8 machine to begin his career here in the sim. As here comes Nicholas Leo. Is this where he goes for the move? Side by side into the carousel. Escaleta outside, Leo inside. Into turn number 5, the late break for the 69. Is it going to be enough? Escaleta tries to challenge back, but he doesn't have enough. And Nicholas Leo onto the edge of the podium, as now Garrett Starr has caught up to join a 3-car battle for 3rd.
3-car battle for that final step of the podium, battle for the race lead. Some great racing all across the circuit here inside this top 5 as they work their way down through the final few corners. They're going to get the cross flags from Barney the Flagman here as we're approaching the halfway point of tonight's heat race number 1.
Only halfway home here in the first race. A lot of racing to go as Matthew Escaleta able to get backed by Nicholas Leo down the front straightaway. Goes to P number 3 as P2 and P1 get closer and closer together. What is Garrett Starr going to do as he sits just at the edge of that top 5 and at the tail end of this 3-car battle? Leo tries to step out, crossover move maybe, stays in line. Garrett Starr has to stay in line as here comes the battle for the race lead. Max Butler to the bottom into the carousel, and Will Salisbury is not even going to be to the outside of your now current race leader when they hit the apex. And to the lead goes Max Butler. To 3rd goes Nicholas Leo as we have a side-by-side battle for 3rd and a bump draft down the straightaway from your 2nd place driver. Now Garrett Starr is willing to get into the mix. Diving pass into turn 6 on Matthew Escaleta, and up in a 4th goes the 8.
Garrett Starr really showcasing his talents here tonight for his debut run in the Real Racers Virtual Club. He'll give the position back to Escaleta, dropping back to P5, but he's got plenty of time to make it stick as he'll slide back into line. Single file, these 3 drivers will now go as Butler now see if he can try to hold off the hard charger of Salisbury.
So now it is Butler, Salisbury, and Leo, your top 3. Here's the battle between Butler and Salisbury. This is looking like a perfect recipe for a diving pass into the carousel for Will Salisbury. If he is willing to take it, he'll stay right tucked in to the gearbox of the number 1 machine. Does he go for the move here? No, he does not. Stays in line. Will keep that gap to about 1 to 2 tenths and is now just breathing down the neck of Max Butler, letting him know that he is there, not letting him get too far out in front. But at the line, 5 laps to go. Will Salisbury knows that he has a car that can pass Max Butler. And last time by, Max Butler running 5 tenths quicker than Will Salisbury. Across the line this time, I'm interested to see where the lap times are going to sit. Will Salisbury ends up with a 109.005. Max Butler a 109.099. They are close, less than a tenth separating the two of them in lap time. It's just going to come down to when Will Salisbury wants to make that move, Taylor, because we know he can. He led since the outset of this race, and now Max Butler is here to spoil the party at the front, but down the back straightaway, it looks like second versus same as the first. Salisbury looking to just stay in line.
Salisbury is just being patient right now here. We still have quite a few laps left to go in this race here. He chose his nose as we see a little bobble right there by Max Butler as they work through the carousel, lined up nose to tail as they now get a little bit of separation for him out of the carousel, heading down the short chute to the final few corners here as they work their way down this chute. And then a little bit further back, you got Leo and Escajeda now going side by side, now dropping back to single file. But Butler and Salisbury, I think, are just biding their time. Butler trying to just get ready to save his equipment for the final couple of laps here when we get closer to the end of this race. And Salisbury also taking care of his tires here in this final few runs because he's going to have multiple attempts to make it work for him on that final lap.
Just now, 4 laps to go. 14 laps in this race, and of course we still have race number 2 coming up, so it's a grand total of 28 laps run tonight. But of course we're going to invert that top 5 going into race number 2. I'm interested where the invert sits now. It'll be Garrett Starr that is going to be starting on the pole for race number 2. I'm interested to see how that's going to go, and I'm interested to see how this battle for the lead is going to go as Will Salisbury to the bottom. He's going to have enough of a run, does the exact same thing that Max Butler did to him, and he is clear and away into the lead before they even hit the brakes going into the carousel. Escajeda makes a move on Leo to go back to third, and here comes another move for the race lead. Max Butler says, oh no, he wants to take that lead back almost immediately into turn 6, and he does exactly that. The 1 is back to the first spot.
Salisbury needs to take some notes right there regarding this situation. He may be able to clear him down the back straightaway heading into the carousel, but he also needs to realize there's at least one more other major passing opportunity that Butler can utilize on Salisbury in a final lap situation. So for Butler, he may need to consider utilizing that and waiting till we get to that final short chute on the final lap in order to steal this win away.
Salisbury getting close again as they go up through the S's into the back straightaway once again. Salisbury steps out. Is he going to go for an outside move here? Butler stays to the low side. Salisbury trying to use the momentum to go around the outside into the right-hander of the carousel. Is this going to be enough to give the 7 the lead back? He'll stay side by side as they go through the corner, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Butler tries to block him off, but he can't do it. Salisbury stays on that outside line. He'll have the inside advantage now as they go into turn 6, the left-hander. Will it be enough to give him the lead? Oh, yes, it is. Will Salisbury back to the top, 2 to go at the line. Butler back to square 1.
Popsicle sticks in the air as they come across the line. 2 laps to go. Multiple attempts still for Max Butler to get back around Will Salisbury before they get to the checkered flag as they head back into the 90, hitting the braking zones and then just sliding it on through before they make the climb up the S's. Butler staying tucked up behind that rear wing of Will Salisbury as they climb the hill.
To the back straightaway once again. Where is Max Butler going to make this move, and how aggressive is he willing to get for it? Down the back straightaway, penultimate time in race number 1. You can see the defense now coming out from Will Salisbury. Goes right to the bottom of the racetrack trying to protect the inside line through the carousel. You can see that 3-car battle for third continuing to go, but Max Butler with enough momentum to go around the outside, not even needing the turn to his advantage, and Max Butler to the race lead. Escajeda, Leo, and Garrett Starr continuing to fight for third as they have been trading back and forth and back and forth. Escajeda now to third, Leo back to fourth, and Garrett Starr still watching and waiting for something to happen in front of him. It's white flag in the air, this time by, with Max Butler now leading by 4/10 over Will Salisbury at the Glen.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You wanted some great racing action at Watkins Glen. We are about to see it happen live on RaceSpotTV through turn 1 for the final time between these 3 competitors. Max Butler, Will Salisbury. We're going to see them really go at it as they head down the back straightaway for the final time. But here comes Escajeda. He's going to try to lead this train to the top of the hill. And as they work down the back straightaway, who will have the momentum as we go back up to the front? Will Salisbury make the jump now or wait till the second half? He's going to make the jump now. Side by side. outside, down the back straightaway. He'll look to the inside, but will Butler utilize that outside momentum to take away the race lead? Not this time.
Around the outside goes Max Butler. Will Salisbury trying to hold strong on the bottom. They're still side by side off the exit of turn 5, going into turn 6. How is this battle for the lead going to go? Leo goes to third in the background. Will Salisbury round the outside, trying to hold strong. Butler gonna make him use all the room on the racetrack, but that's all Will Salisbury needed through turn 7, and the checkered flag is in the air. Will Salisbury, 5 wins on the season, and he'll extend his points lead over Max Butler.
What a drive by Will Salisbury. And how about this? Nicholas Leo taking home the 3rd spot, getting it away from SK Hayda and working his way through into the podium here for race number 1. Garrett Starr is your provisional pole sitter for race number 2.
What a race. We knew we'd see those exciting battles at the Glen, and that is exactly what we saw. As we wait for the rest of the field to come across the line, we'll take a look at those full race results, and man, what battles we saw for that race lead. Will Salisbury ending up taking the win, Max Butler in 2nd, Nicholas Leo ends up winning that 3-car battle for 3rd, with Matthew Escajeda and Garrett Starr 4th and 5th. Rick Sheldon, Joe Butler, Zach Hudson, and Andrew Sauter are going to round out your field of 9 drivers. And you mentioned that top 5 invert, Taylor. Garrett Starr will be on the pole for race number 2 as we enter into the 5-minute warm-up. We would like to thank all the sponsors that helped to put on Real Racers Virtual Club here on RaceSpotTV. Of course, that starts with Liberty Group. At Liberty Group LLC, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always wanted. Our team of professionals can help you create a well-thought-out strategy using a variety of investments and insurance products and services to help you address your financial needs and concerns. We also like to thank the Stefan Wilson Racing Academy. The Stefan Wilson Racing Academy exists to assist clients on their motorsport journey. SWRA utilizes 20+ years in the sport with advanced coaching techniques, track and car knowledge, and widespread international industry connections to help clients progress to any level imaginable. Whether the client is new to driving on track or an experienced amateur racer, we help our clients develop driving skills that enable them to climb through the Ferrari Challenge ranks, win races in Ferrari Challenge, advance to competing in Pro-Am racing, and one day possibly iconic races such as the Daytona 24-hour or the Le Mans 24-hour. We also would like to thank Merit Partners. At Merit Partners, based in Atlanta, Georgia, we always strive to be a company that honors our employees and clients at the highest level as we build relationships around great experiences in the automotive space focused on sports and exotic race and street cars. Merit Partners is your trusted advisor and source for curated cars. Come visit us to buy, sell, and build long-lasting relationships around cars we love, Porsches, Ferraris, and supercars. We also would like to thank Coforce for their continued support of Real Racers Virtual Club.
Coforce is a digital media marketing agency specializing in the world of motorsports. Working in a variety of racing series in North America, Coforce offers a full range of services, from video production and targeted branding campaigns to event planning and special projects. For more information, visit www.coforce.com or find them at a race event near you.
Drivers currently on track for the warm-up period as we get ready to go racing for the 2nd time tonight. We welcome you back into the RaceSpotTV broadcast booth. Taylor Burris to my side. My name is Joshua Lee. We have Hugo Louise back in the virtual production trailer. And race number 1, Taylor, saw some exciting racing. I mean, I knew that coming into Watkins Glen, it's always fun in these open wheel cars, and it was especially fun because we cut off the backstretch bus stop and just kind of go straight through into the carousel, and that led to so many amazing drafting opportunities down that back straightaway that these drivers were sending it into turn number 5 at the carousel, and it was very exciting to watch and very exciting to see how those drivers were using that slipstream to their advantage down the back straightaway and even carrying that momentum into the short chute heading into turn 6.
It certainly was, and that's what we expect to see here happening with these cars at this circuit. I mean, this is obviously the fastest road course in North America with this configuration. You're pretty much on the throttle, I would have to say almost 75 to 85% of the time here at this circuit, because of just how much speed and momentum, and because of how nimble and aerodynamic these cars are. You can really keep these cars planted through some of the most high-speed corners, as well as some of even the areas where you have to let off the throttle a little bit and still have the momentum to lay down a flyer of a lap.
Will Salisbury was able to get it done in race number 1. He earned his 5th race win of the season, and not only that, but he also was able to extend his points lead. He came in just a handful of points over Max Butler, and with Butler's 2nd place finish, he is keeping Will Salisbury honest, but still with that 2nd place finish, he did gift just a couple more points back to Will Salisbury, which is not what Max Butler needed. We'll see if Butler is able to get on top of Will Salisbury here, but we've seen Will Salisbury get thrown into the middle of the pack with the invert before, but he has been able to come back up and get the win more than once. This will be interesting to see how he plays with that invert, Taylor, and we used to do a full field invert, so he would be starting 9th, but at least he's only starting at the tail end of the top 5, so gives him a little bit more of an advantage to try and come back.
It certainly does give him an advantage, but the thing is, though, he is in that middle of the pack, which opens the door for him to deal with trouble, especially at a track like this. We already saw where almost, I say, 3 out of the 4 drivers ran into some form of trouble during the opening stages of race number 1. So we'll see if they learned anything in race number 2, and see if we can have all 9 drivers battling for this race win.
We'll see what's going to happen in the 2nd race of the night. As warm-up comes to a close, checkered flag will fly. We'll take a look at your starting grid for race number 2. It'll be Garrett Starr, who finished in 5th for race number 1, taking the lead into turn number 1 here in race 2. He starts on pole, with Matthew Escajeda to his outside starting in P2. Nicholas Leo will start in 3rd. Max Butler will come home and take the starting grid in 4th, with Will Salisbury grabbing that 5th spot on the starting grid after a win of race number 1. Rick Sheldon is going to start in 6th. 7th will be Joe Butler, 8th Zach Hudson, and 9th Andrew Sauter. Of course, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th place drivers, exactly where they finished in race number 1 a little bit earlier on tonight. So we're racking them up again, another 14 lap race, and these drivers were getting aggressive, and we saw a couple of tangles, but we only really saw 2 incidents. One with, I believe it was Zach Hudson getting thrown off and into the guardrail, and another one where just 3 drivers got tangled together coming out of, or it was Andrew Sauter that got blown off into the guardrail, and then we saw Zach Hudson, Joe Butler, and Rick Sheldon get tangled up going into the carousel. But other than that, we saw no other incidents, and we saw those 5 top drivers able to battle it out for the race win and the bottom step of the podium. So I'm interested to see how these drivers are going to work here in race number 2, Taylor, and how many incidents we see, because these drivers were racing aggressive but also a little bit clean at the same time.
They certainly were, and they were really being respectful amongst the field. Yes, we had the 2 tangle-ups in those opening couple of laps here at Watkins Glen in race 1, but overall, after that, very respectable racing amongst the top 5 drivers, giving and taking, finding out when the right time to make those passes were, as long as finding out when not to make any major passes and just trying to ride it out. We could have seen multiple times down the back straightaway where drivers could duck out easily, but decided to work together to try to keep up pace with your top 2 in this race. So we'll see if that happens again here in race number 2.
Field exiting the carousel, still 2 by 2 as they get ready to go racing for the 2nd race of the night. When Will Salisbury has won race number 1, he has won race number 2 only once out of the 2 times that he has done it this season, and that was back at Laguna Seca. Coincidentally, that is the only time this season we have seen any driver sweep the night and take both of the races. Will Salisbury joined Anders Krohn as a part of that club, and he is able to do it for a 2nd time, like Anders Krohn also did last season, and take home both wins in a single night. We'll see what is going to happen as Will Salisbury starts from 5th. Garrett Starr leads us to the green flag, and race number 2 is underway in Rear Racers Virtual Club on RaceSpotTV. And already to 2nd, covering off that spot goes Nicholas Leo. Garrett Starr trying to pull away at the front, but here comes the 69, just right to his back gearbox. And Matthew Escajeda in 3rd, sitting in 4th, it will be Joe Butler as they race up the hill. Max Butler, excuse me, as they race up the hill. Will Salisbury still in 5th as they'll go through the S's to the max straightaway. Is anybody going to make a move on Garrett Starr? Nicholas Leo looks like he wants to, but he's going to have to stay in line. Butler goes to the outside of Escajeda, Leo to the outside of Starr, side by side, a couple of rows deep as they dive into the carousel. Starr going to keep that lead. He'll get shoved 3 wide, and around they go. And it looks like Max Butler's off and away. Multiple drivers caught up in this one. About 4 or 5 drivers caught up in the carousel.
Even your championship leader, Will Salisbury, involved in this incident here. So big implications. Thankfully, he picked up that win in race number 1, but he unfortunately will not join the club of sweeping a 2nd night here in a row as we see this action for him. Meanwhile, back up front, Matthew Escajeda, Zach Hudson, Joe Butler, and Andrew Sauter. You're only 4 drivers surviving that incident here. So 3 out of the 4 drivers that got involved in incident number 1 in race 1 and 2 happened are now up inside the top 5 this time around, except for the exclusion of Matthew Escajeda as we take a look at the replay.
Let's see what happened here. And everybody diving into the carousel. Garrett Starr, look at he stalled out, got up and into Nicholas Leo, got down into Will Salisbury, and Max Butler went way wide off the carousel. I'm not sure why. Maybe he missed a braking zone going into turn number 5, but he just went way to the outside. And still, unfortunately, with everybody coming up the way that carousel works, and he just gets slammed into as we see Butler and Hudson go side by side. Around the outside goes Joe Butler, not able to get that spot just yet, is fighting on the bottom goes Zach Hudson. But how about Matthew Escajeda, able to avoid the incident and now has a 3-second lead at the front of this field as Joe Butler able to cover off Zach Hudson for 2nd place. But I think it's safe to say now, Taylor, that we're going to see a first-time winner of the season here in race number 2 as we go on board with Joe Butler. Let's see this incident avoidance.
Let's take a look right on board. Ooh, big time check up right there and just have the seas parted for him. Joe Butler definitely a happy camper after that incident, as now lap traffic is rejoining the racing circuit after they got their fast repair. So this will make things a little interesting to see if Butler, Hudson, and Sauter can find a way to catch up to Escajeda. They are about 3 seconds back right now, so they have a lot of work to do in this stage.
Currently working lap 3 of 14, and that 3-car field now that sits fighting for the bottom step of the podium has caught up to a couple of the stragglers that had to tow it back to the pit lane after the incident in the carousel, who have now since gotten back onto the racetrack using one of their 2 fast repairs that they have allocated. So they were able to get their cars repaired, and they are back onto the racetrack, just, of course, not on the lead lap. And that brings up something interesting. For a lot of the longtime viewers of Real Racers Virtual Club, you might remember, I can think back to last year at Interlagos. I believe it happened both races at either Brands Hatch or Laguna Seca this year, but we saw the lap 1 full course cautions be called, and there was a rule in the rule book that they could call full course cautions on lap number 1. With that being a lap number 1 incident, we did not see a full course caution. Well, since a couple of rounds ago, that has now been removed from the rule book. So now no full course cautions will be called. It will only be the locally enforced cautions on the iRacing service done by the iRacing AI. So we did not see a full course caution, and now that serves as a bit of a disadvantage for those drivers that were caught up in that incident, but they still can make up some good points here, Taylor, because Will Salisbury, Rick Sheldon, Nicholas Leo, and Max Butler are all on the same lap, and it's especially good for Will Salisbury if he can make up that 9-second interval to try and make up just a little bit more points, because he has Max Butler on the same lap as him, now about 2 to 3 positions in front of him.
He certainly does, and this is going to be very critical for him in order to try to make that work. He's got to get around at least 3 other competitors to catch up to the back bumper of Butler. So we'll see what he can do here in this stage as they work their way through the 90. Leo and Butler leading this group of cars here. They come up to the top of the hill through the S's and make the run down the back straightaway.
Up the S's they go, and Matthew Escajeda 3 seconds up the road. Looking at my stats for Real Racers Virtual Club, I don't believe Matthew Escajeda has been to victory lane since he got his championship in Season 2. In Season 3 and currently here in Season 4, he has not been on the top step of the podium. So we'll see if Escajeda is able to hold on at the front of this field. He's got to hold on for 10 more laps, and what is going to be a charging Joe Butler, if he's able to work up that 2.9 seconds now to the race leader. This could be an interesting lead battle. We have an interesting battle developing for third, but other than that, a couple of interesting battles actually off of the lead lap, and that's the battle we're looking at right now. That's Max Butler versus Nicholas Leo as they sit 5th and 6th, and you can see Rick Sheldon, who sits in 7th, is peeking his nose around this battle, not getting involved yet, but it looks like he wants to eventually. This is the battle for 5th, and they are all 1 lap down, but they are still battling 4 points on this racetrack in 4 track position.
Yeah, they're going to keep on fighting till we get to that checkered flag here as they work down the back straightaway. Escajeda's very comfortable ahead of Butler this time as they work down the back straightaway, but he's got to worry about the other Butler because here he comes along with Leo and Sheldon as they work their way down through the carousel.
Out of the carousel they go, and Escajeda's lead is starting to diminish. Butler's not making up huge strides as Sauter is able to get by Zach Hudson. You can see that battle behind this group, and Joe Butler actually really is on the tail end of this 5th place battle that is off of the lead lap. I'm wondering, Taylor, if he's using the slipstream of the drivers in front of him to his advantage to try and make up a little bit of time and basically cut his way through the air and is able to catch up to Matthew Escajeda. He's not catching up quickly. As we're halfway through this race, he's gonna need to start making some more strides, but at the tail end of that draft line, he's getting a good slipstream and putting in some good, pretty decent lap times.
He certainly is. Very decent lap times here in this halfway point of the race. Currently looking through some of the faster times that have just been set here today. Joe Butler has the fastest lap. Nicholas Leo also up there as well. And Will Salisbury, those are your 3 fastest times right now, with a Leo with a 109.06 compared to the 109.58 by Matthew Escajeda, who is comfortably 2.5 seconds up the road.
Now in the draft goes, that is Sauter that is in the draft of Zach Hudson. Into turn number 6 won't be enough as they both go a little bit wide. Sauter a little bit more than Hudson. This is the fight for P number 3, but down to 2.3 seconds that last time by was Joe Butler on Matthew Escajeda. And taking a look at those lap times, 109.267 for Escajeda, 109.039 for Joe Butler. He's making up a good bit of time now. Lead down to 2 seconds. 7 to go. This is going to be a close one here, Taylor. He needs to make up time just a little bit quicker because not only does he need to catch him, he needs to make up that 2 seconds, but then he also needs to pass him when he gets there. But a great run down the back straightaway is knocking his lead down to less than 2 seconds, about 1.9 as he enters the carousel.
How about Max Butler really putting the pressure on Matthew Escajeda to get back on the lead lap? Him and Nicholas Leo really trying to find a way to get around Escajeda to get back on the lead lap here as they continue to work down the short chute heading to the final few corners. But for Joe Butler, he really appreciates these lap cars putting him a fight with Escajeda because that's helping him close the gap even more. It's now down to 1.7 seconds.
If he catches him, I'm starting to think it's not really going to be much of an if, it's going to be a when. But when he gets there, how defensive is Escajeda going to get? Because I mentioned it has been a long dry spell for him. Season 2 champion. He's at the top of every driver in Real Racers Virtual Club competition in Season 2. Since then, with the likes of Nikita Lasickin, Anders Krohn, now Will Salisbury, and the Butlers. He has not been able to get back to victory lane since that season that he took the championship. I'm wondering how defensive he's going to get, because I kind of think, Taylor, from a racer's point of view, he is going to get insanely defensive and trying to get back to the top step of the podium, and he's gonna have to start getting nervous now because it's down to 1.3 seconds and closing. Now it's a rapid pace now.
He certainly is now having to deal with some trouble now as he's trying to hold off some of the faster lap cars. Max Butler is trying to put the pressure on him to help his brother Joe Butler catch up. It's now down to 1.1 seconds between your top two as they come through the final corner here, and they are going to be coming up to about, I say, 5 laps to go for your race leader. But SK Hayda's going to have to work for it as he has to deal with Max Butler, Nicholas Leo, and Ricky Sheldon as they head back into the 90.
8 tenths now is the gap. This might be the perfect strategy for Joe Butler to use the faster cars in front of him as a tow to try and catch up to Matthew Escajeda, who leads this race. It's 5 to go. And I think another interesting thing we haven't mentioned yet, Taylor, is if Joe Butler does catch up to Escajeda at the lead, not only does he have to pass Escajeda, he's going to have to worry about the 3 lapped machines that'll be in front of him, and they're looking to get aggressive to try and get their laps back. It's down to 2.5 tenths. We're going to be talking about this for not much longer because we're going to be seeing it unfold with 4 laps to go this time by.
Here they come down the short chute, heading into the final 2 corners. SK Haydas now has to hold off. He's in a Butler sandwich. He's got the lap car of Max Butler in front of him. He's got Joe Butler, his competitor, behind him. Through the final corner, we're coming to 4 laps to go for SK Hayda. Here comes Butler. He'll take a peek to the outside. Now thinks better of it as they work down the front straightaway, heading into the 90. SK Hayda's getting the defensive line while Joe Butler follows in pursuit.
He's right on that gearbox, but surrounded by lapped machines. They're not going to move out of the way. Nicholas Leo is on the back gearbox of Joe Butler. He wants to get his lap back and continue fighting with Max Butler, who is just able to work his way past Escajeda. The block coming out from Escajeda as he tries to protect that lead. Joe Butler down to the inside, side by side for the race lead, down the back straightaway. Into the carousel they go. Is it enough for Butler? No, it's not. Escajeda with a great run, a great slipstream from Max Butler in front, is able to hold off for that race lead. But now as they go through the short chute into turn 6, 3 to go this time by. The work is not done for Matthew Escajeda. He's trying to go to victory lane for the first time in 2 seasons of action. Joe Butler is trying to go to victory lane for the first time since Brands Hatch race number 1, where the 2 leaders collided and were out of the race and gifted Joe Butler that win. He wants to earn this one at Watkins Glen. 3 to go. He sits second, looking for that move on Matthew Escajeda. Won't make it happen into turn 1.
Hayda actually has a little bit of a benefit right now compared to Joe Butler because SK Hayda has a car in front of them. That, in fact, is helping him pull him down these long straightaways and helping him to stay at a top speed as much as Joe Butler is. So Joe's going to have to find a different way to work around SK Hayda to get that race lead away. As they work down the long back straightaway here, we see SK Hayda weaving, throws the block on Butler as they go down the back straightaway. Now Butler looks to the inside. Will he have enough room and momentum on his side? He's all by himself. SK Hayda sends it to the inside of his brother Max Butler. Through the corner they'll go as you ride on board with Joe Butler.
Max Butler forced to give way. He goes all the way to the outside. He'll let Nicholas Leo go by in the process as the battle for the lead now sees clean track in front of him. 2 laps to go this time by as Escajeda trying to hold off Joe Butler. That Ferrari painted number 4 livery versus the Red Bull painted number 5 livery as they race down the front straightaway. Escajeda starting to get very aggressive on the defense. He'll protect the inside as they go into turn number 1. 2 laps to go. Nicholas Leo trying to find a way to get his lap back from off of the lead lap. He'll go to the inside of Joe Butler, now going to split the 2 race leaders in half as Nicholas Leo fights to gain his lap back. Joe Butler fighting for a win, trying to navigate his way around the 8 machine.
Oh, Joe Butler has to be fuming at Nicholas Leo this time. Now he finds an opening. He's going to slipstream to get around Nicholas Leo, pull him away. He'll now duck to the inside. Leo tries to see if he can find an opening as they head head down into the carousel. Will Leo send it in the Ferrari? But here comes that beautiful Matthew Escajeda holding strong in the Red Bull livery machine as they come out of the carousel. Down the short chute they go. Joe Butler seems to see has enough momentum, but not enough to make the pass as they work their way into the final few corners. White flag this time by.
It'll be lap 14 of 14 when they come across the start-finish line. What is Joe Butler going to do to walk away with this race win? It's a 10th separating the leaders. More clean track in front of him. White flag is in the air. Protective line from Matthew Escajeda going into turn number 1. To the outside goes Joe Butler. Is he able to hold strong? He goes for the challenge. Escajeda loose on the inside line, but he's not able to make that move stick. Joe Butler back to second. Nicholas Leo still fighting to gain his lap back, inserting himself into this battle. Joe Butler able to get back around, back to the back wing of that leader, the number 5 of Matthew Escajeda, side by side, down the back straightaway at Watkins Glen. They'll fight as they go into the carousel. Matthew Escajeda looking for his first win in multiple seasons. Butler trying to go to victory lane for the second time this season. They're still side by side as they fight through the carousel. The challenge is now on. Red Bull livery versus Ferrari livery. Escajeda gonna have the inside advantage as they go into turn 6. They're still side by side. Butler not letting Escajeda have anything. They won't give each other an inch. Butler around the outside. He goes wide. He'll have the inside advantage through the final corner, and that might be all that he needed. Side by side, the drag race coming to the line. Photo finish. They touch once, touch twice. Who gets it? Matthew Escajeda is your winner at Watkins Glen.
What an absolute race. I would have to say that is an iRacing top 10 moment between these two competitors. What a race overall between the two of them here tonight. Escajeda, Joe Butler recovering after a dismal race number 1. Watch this as they come out of the final corner side by side. They're gonna not touch once but twice here. Here's the first touch, second touch, then there they go. Escajeda just by a nose over Joe Butler.
By literally a tire, Taylor. Literally a tire in a front wing. He was able to get that win. It was in the hands of Escajeda. Swap to Joe Butler, but the crossover move, and here's the photo finish. Unbelievable. Escajeda goes back to victory lane in Real Racers Virtual Club action in an unbelievable Watkins Glen finish that you couldn't script even if you tried. Matthew Escajeda gets the win. Joe Butler in second. How about that time difference? 2/100ths of a second separating the top two. Zach Hudson finishes in third. Andrew Sauter fourth, with Nicholas Leo rounding out the top 5. 1 lap down. He was not able to beat any of the leaders to the line, so he stays 1 lap down alongside Rick Sheldon. Max Butler and Will Salisbury, the 2 championship contenders currently. Max Butler able to gain back a little bit of those points that he lost on Will Salisbury in race 1, but definitely not all of them. And Garrett Starr ends up in P9 after that lap 1 incident. He never worked his way back into the racetrack. Escajeda versus Joe Butler in a fantastic and thrilling final lap and a final battle throughout that entire race. And we'll enter the post-race show, and we'll be talking with Matthew Escajeda. And what a fantastic win that was for Matthew Escajeda. Joining us in the booth now, Matthew, welcome back to Real Racers Virtual Club Victory Lane. How good does this one feel after not getting any wins in the last season and currently in this season?
It feels pretty damn good. That was a lot of mind games going on there through the whole race when the lap cars came out right behind me. That was it was pretty tense trying to figure out where to go and where to try to box Joe Butler in when they were all trying to, you know, stay with me. So that was pretty intense. It was a lot of fun with Joe.
And how about that photo finish coming across the line? Because it went the way of Joe Butler for it looked like turn 7 there, but then that crossover move from you, and you didn't let him have any of that space on the racetrack. You made him work for it.
Yeah, I hit the brakes too early with the third to last corner, I think, and kind of let him get way on the outside of me and in front of me. but I saw him go super wide in the second to last, off the exit of the second to last turn, and I knew, okay, I have a shot at him having a terrible entrance and me, trying to do the crossover move, and it actually worked. And just luckily we didn't hit on the straightaway. I was kind of shoving him over, but it was all good.
Congratulations on that thrilling battle. Congratulations on returning to the top step of the podium in Real Racers Virtual Club action, Matthew. We'll see you in the championship finale at Road Atlanta in 1 week's time. Go celebrate this one with you and the team.
All right, thanks, guys.
Great to hear from your race winner in a thrilling finish. That was Matthew Escajeda. And now the other half of that exciting battle, Joe Butler, is with Taylor Burris.
Joe Butler, you struggled in race number 1 where you got caught up in that opening incident, but come back fighting in race number 2 to nearly take home the victory. Your second of the season almost, but just were beaten out by a nose. Talk to us about the emotions of this race here tonight.
Man, yeah, I was really disappointed with race number 1. Put it on pole. I was quick out of nowhere. And I just got a black flag, and I was going to have to go way to the back. So I was trying to strategically slow down in that corner, and it just, it took a couple people out. So I apologize for that. But, as of race 2, I knew I had the speed, and I just needed to bide my time. The draft was such a big factor in this race. So I knew that if I was able to just stay in some kind of draft, I was going to be able to pull to the front and maybe fight for the lead. The only curveball being the guys coming out of pits from an earlier incident, and they played along so nicely. I didn't want them to lift as because they had their race going on, but they played along, so it was much appreciated. And yeah, it was a great race with Matt.
Talk to us a little bit about the excitement racing these Formula 4 cars over here at Watkins Glen, especially the configuration that we raced at tonight.
Well, there's not a lot of braking, which is like really exciting. You're kind of just like, coasting through turns and just putting the power down. And it's nice when you don't have a whole bunch of really hard braking zones, so the field bunches up and you might rear end somebody. So it makes it a little bit easier on us because we're not pro or anything, but we're doing our best. But man, this car it's incredible. I love how it grips up. You can, as I said, you can put that power down, and yeah.
Before we let you go and celebrate this podium, Joe, anyone you would like to say thank you to?
Yeah, I want to thank you to everybody watching. My girlfriend Shannon down in St. Pete, she crushes it. She doesn't understand anything about racing, but she's trying so hard. And I want to thank Rick for putting on this series. It's so much fun, and we've made friends. We didn't know half the guys in here prior to starting this, so we've definitely done a good thing here. So thank you to the Rick man.
Will do, and that of course is none other than Joe Butler coming home second on the podium, as we now see Zach Hudson make his way over. He is with Josh Lee.
And a podium finish for Zach Hudson here in race number 2 as well. Nothing to slouch at for you, Zach, as you join us here in the RaceSpotTV broadcast booth. Very consistent season from you so far, and a great effort in race number 2. Talk about that race from your perspective. How was it on the track?
Yeah, no, it was, the second race was still pretty tough. This is definitely a pack. You got to be in the draft in order to really compete. Fortunately, I was just outside of it. I was at that 2.5-3 second mark, and it just kept me on the outskirts of the draft there until the closing laps. But did my best to just try to reel them in as much as I could, with that lap traffic, try to pull the draft off of them, but just wasn't close enough. I'll take a podium, considering race 1 was a little rough, but good to get some more points. Try to keep it close to Matt in the championship, and see how the final race goes. When we go up. So interested to see how it all shakes out.
Speaking of final race, where is your confidence level at for Road Atlanta? Obviously, so far this season, no wins on the season for you. Still one round left to get to that top step of the podium. Where's your confidence level at Road Atlanta? Can we expect to see you again on the podium, maybe even grabbing that win?
Well, I sure hope so. As you mentioned, 0 wins this season, but still competitive in the championship. I'm been calling myself little Scott Dixon, just Mr. Consistency, staying up there, not getting wins, but collecting podiums. So trying trying to stay within the points championship race and see where we shake out. Rotoland is a good track. I really like that one. I think this car is really going to match that circuit well. So interested to see how it all goes. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Sometimes that's all you really need, right? All those podiums and all those consistent finishes. We'll let you get out of here, Zach. Congratulations on your podium finish tonight from Watkins Glen.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
That was Zach Hudson. Third place finish for him here in race number 2. We'll switch over now to race number 1. Your race number 1 winner was Will Salisbury, standing by with Taylor Burris.
Here with Will Salisbury, you were able to do a phenomenal drive in race number 1. Talk to us first about that and the exciting battle that you had with the other of the Butler brothers, Max Butler.
Yeah, that was a good chess match me and Max put on. We've been waiting for that for the last couple weeks to put on a good show, and it was a great race. We pulled out in front of the field, or I pulled out in front of the field, and I knew that wasn't going to last long because, the draft here is so big. He was able to catch up, but from that point, it was just about getting us two out front, breaking away from the pack, and then putting on our own show. I played the chess moves and was setting up moves and figuring out a plan A and a plan B for what was going to work and what wasn't going to work coming down to the last lap. And, plan A didn't quite work, so I went to plan B, and, it was really just who was going to be leading coming into the last two corners, the left and then the right-hander there. And luckily I was able to just get just enough ahead, about a car length, and sneak away with it. So it felt good to move the pawns at the right time and put ourselves in a position to win. It was a great battle me and Max had, and it was a great way to start the evening, that's for sure.
Certainly is, but we had some trouble in race number 2, but you were able to still get back out there and talk about the final race at Rotoland, how confident you are going into that.
Yeah, I'm, just bummed about that incident. Obviously, racing stuff happens, and, I don't want to put the blame on anyone, but in my opinion, if we're going to have races at tracks like this, then we might as well just run at an oval, because there's really no a high level of skill needed for these races. I was looking forward to coming into Watkins Glen a lot because of the technicality of it, because of the bus stop, and because of the boot. And when you take away those things, you're just left with a spec car and a spec track where everyone's on top of each other. And with a dwindling field size, if we had doubled the field size, it would have been an even bigger wreck. In the fact that we're changing rules mid-season to suddenly no yellows kind of just ticks me off a little bit, but it is what it is. Really wasn't a point running after that. I just, if we're going to do that type of stuff, then, it's not quite real racers anymore. So that's just my opinion on how that shakes out. It's unfortunate because it's points implications for us, and I'm trying to do my best to put on a good championship battle with a drop event in the mix, and having a race 2 like that doesn't help the cause. So hopefully we can work on that in the next couple seasons moving forward, and straighten it out and hopefully get more people in here. But going into the last race of the season, looking forward to that. I know it's going to be another tough fought battle between all of us. I know me and Max are going at it, and we're trying to get into each other's heads. So looking forward to putting on another good show down there.
Well, with that, we wish you the best luck at the next round at Rotoland. That is Will Salisbury, your championship leader, as Joshua Lee has caught up with the other of the Butler brothers, Max Butler, who came home second in race 1 and had to fight his way back through the field in order to get a shot back on the lead lap in race 2.
Well, he still was able to make up at least a handful of points on Will Salisbury tonight. Max, you're joining us here in the booth now and continuing the fight for this championship. 2 wins on the season for you, 5 on the season for Will Salisbury, but you're still very much in this championship fight. Coming out of, I'll ask, going into tonight, where is your confidence level at for the championship versus now after both races are done? How has that changed?
It's been a roller coaster today. So they released the point standings. I'm 6 points behind. So going in, I know that I really have to take it to Will on these last few races. So, we get ready to practice, and we all thought that we were going to run the Watkins Glen boot version. So when we load up this, which is basically an oval with a few braking zones, we all knew that it was about to be a very, very sweaty night. So, you know, the first race went well. Me and Will really duked it out for a bit, and he did get the better of me at the end. But, you know, overall, even though the second race didn't like really pan out for me, I still think Road Atlanta is a great track. I love it, and I'm very confident going into those last rounds.
You just mentioned it. 6 points separating you and Will Salisbury. At Road Atlanta, are you confident that you can get on top of Will? Because he seems to be really consistent at pretty much any track we've gone to. There's only been one track where he hasn't won this season, and that was Brands Hatch, and he did not show up for that race, I don't believe. So very consistent at every single track. Can you beat him at Road Atlanta? How much practice are you going to put in, and where's your confidence level at heading into that track?
A lot of us work at the same company, and Will and I work at the same company, and lucky me, he is going to Road America this weekend for the IndyCar race to cover some clients over there. So I have plenty of time to practice, and, you know, maybe I might just fabricate some extra work that he has to stay up late every single night doing to make him really tired. So it's time for the mind games. He's good on the brakes. Road Atlanta's a difficult track, and I'm just hoping to be there, and when he makes that mistake from being too tired, you know, I will take the glory.
I love the off-track shenanigans, using the work excuse to try and get in Will Salisbury's head. I'll let you go start planning how you're going to do that for this weekend, Max. Congratulations on your runner-up finish in race number 1, your rally back in race 2, and we'll look forward to seeing how you work on this championship heading into Road Atlanta.
So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
And that concludes our post-race show. Great to hear from Escajeda, Joe Butler, Zach Hudson, Will Salisbury, and Max Butler here tonight in the post-race show. But only one round now remains, Taylor, and it is at Road Atlanta. I would say one of the hidden gems of road courses when it comes to the United States. And same place, same time right here on RaceSpotTV. And we're going to be crowning a champion in 2 races in just 1 week's time. 6 points separating the top 2. It's going to be interesting because depending on how many people show up, there is a possibility that Will Salisbury can lock it up in race number 1.
He certainly can, and it's going to be exciting. We're hoping all of you who are watching here on RaceSpotTV will join us next Tuesday night as we see who will be crowned a champion in this very exciting series here at, of course, none other the Real Racers Virtual Club.
And we hope that you'll join us right here on RaceSpotTV for the season finale of season 4 for Real Racers Virtual Club. An exciting race number 1, an incredible finish in race number 2. We've got 2 races left to settle this championship. Will Salisbury versus Max Butler at Road Atlanta. 1 week's time. Make sure that you're here on RaceSpotTV to see who will win the championship. For Hugo Louise, Taylor Burris, I'm Joshua Lee saying good night from Watkins Glen. Congratulations to Will Salisbury and Matthew Escajeda as they win in the New York Hills.